Okay, so welcome to the stream, everybody. Welcome to my 6th stream, I think this is already. And the second one where we're going to make app reviews. And I see already the Futures Yesterday is in the stream. Hi, welcome. And welcome also specifically for you because you're the developer of the app that we're going to test today. So welcome definitely to the stream. Shahil, I think is your name, right? I hope I said that right. So yeah, let me first get through the followers. I have a lot of new followers here. EasyFlip is also here. Hey man, thank you very much. Welcome to the stream. Okay, so we have new followers. Monsieur B has followed me. I think he's a Twitch streamer as well. Welcome, thank you. Then Megan Wilson, thank you too. CEVNZ, not sure how to say that otherwise. So thank you, welcome. Juju is dead. Welcome. Abbas Surifi and Ali Pacman and Amity Horror, all welcome to the stream and thank you for following. Hey there, nice to see you there. Hey, welcome Monsieur B to the stream. Great to see that you're here. Asya C, also welcome to the stream. We talked about you during Megan's stream yesterday. Oh, that's interesting, very cool. Was that a stream? Like on Twitch stream, is Megan, is that also a Twitch streamer? Nice to see a new streamer iOS developer here. Yeah, I also know that there's not many of them here yet, and I think we should all stay in contact. And I also always check at the end of my streams if there's I'm trying to follow all iOS streamers, and if there are any, I'm trying to check if I can rate them at the end of the stream. So I will definitely make sure to check that with you as well. Okay, but let's get to our stream. So what's the content of the stream? And you can already see that I have created this document because in the streams, we're now always going to start, if we have one, with an app review. And today is the app review of this app. And let me write project into the chat so you can see the app and the link to the app and you can check it out for yourself. Oh no, that's our project here. I meant review, of course. Okay, now you should have the link to the review that we're going to do. And the whole purpose, just to summarize that quickly, of this review, is not to rate the app or something like that. It's more to provide feedback or more info for the developer and to give them at least one live user experience where they can just watch me while I'm first time checking the app out. And I have actually not started the app yet. You can see that I have downloaded the app, so it's here, the Timewave app. And I have only seen the store page quickly, and also just like some tweets, but there was not too much content in them, so I'm kind of a completely stranger to this app. I have no idea what to expect there, and we'll see about that. I'm just dropping by 3 minutes. I'm in the middle of a meeting, catching with you later on. Yeah, sure, no worries, no worries. I can totally understand it, specifically on the timing of the Friday stream. If you're also close to Central European time, I can understand that you're still working. Cool, so we will get started with this review, and I have 3 parts for the review. So the first part is going to be having a look at the store page. So we will have a look at the App Store here, and we will check out some different parts there, like the app icon, video screenshots. Then we'll continue with the second part, which is like a first app use, which I will try to act like a user who just discovered the app somewhere. I mean, yeah, somewhere found a link or something and just wants to like kind of get a quick understanding of what this app does. So I will go quickly through everything, not have a very detailed look everywhere. And the third part is going to be a little bit more detailed look and just trying to explore what kind of features the app has to be able to give a more broader kind of rating here or feedback here. And I will have a look at different parts there. And lastly, we will just try to, this is something that I actually asked the community on Twitter if they want me to do that, because I don't see myself in a place to rate apps or something like that, but people were asking for this, so I'm going to try to rate 10 different parts of the app from my perspective, and then to have a final rating, kind of fun rating that we could share. And I will also share with the developers. We had the first app review on Wednesday. I will share a small certificate kind of image. I'm still working on that. And yesterday I had to focus on my YouTube channel, which I started yesterday. So I didn't have much time to finish that up, but I will make sure that I finish it by Monday or something like that as well. Okay, any questions? Otherwise, I would say we can get started. EasyFib, are you fully moved on SwiftUI or do you still work on UIKit projects? Well, I do have some UIKit projects, even in open source. So if you just check out my GitHub, and you can find all my GitHub stuff under body crouch. If you check it out, you'll see that I have an app called Prayer, which I don't have listed here. There you go. And this is actually developed in UIKit, for example. I plan to move it over to SwiftUI at some point, but I don't think that we should always rewrite every app that we're working on. So as long as I don't make big changes to this app, I will not be doing it. But at some point, I might actually do that. And other apps, of course, that's not the only app I have, were also all written in UIKit because they're old apps. And it's always a question, should you rewrite? Or what I try to do though is like writing completely new components in the views, them in SwiftUI, and then importing them or using them in UIKit if possible. Cool, let's get started. So we're starting the app review with a store page. And thank you for that question, EasyFit, by the way. Feel free to ask me anything at any point. Okay, store page first. Let's open the App Store page. And I will start with one pointer at the beginning. So just to make sure, because I read some things when I created the YouTube channel about sponsorship and things like that. I just want to make sure this review is not sponsored in any way. It is 100% on a voluntary basis, so I did it on a completely voluntary basis to provide that, and also the developer accepted just on a completely voluntary basis. And I was provided a promo code so I can download the app, but that's just for review purposes. If I actually want to use the app, I will actually buy it myself privately, also to support the developer, and so no sponsorship at all. Yeah, thank you for streaming, man. This means so much for starters. I hope so. That's exactly the point of doing this. Yeah, I'm planning also to do some other things for getting started with iOS development, but that's like in the summer. For now, I hope that starters can learn here and there from just how I'm working. Okay, so this is our App Store page. So let's have a look. First thing I want to check out is the app icon. So some questions I have written down here. Will I spot it on my home screen? So the app icon is definitely holding grayscale, so it's grayish. It's not going to like pop out with color or something, but it's also interesting. So definitely I can see there's like some kind of image inside, and it like on first look it looks a bit like a button or something like that. And then when I look into the middle part, it looks like you know when you play dart, where you like throw these and there is like this thing you throw them on. It reminds me of that a little bit, or maybe something like a target area, something like that. That's my feeling. Or it could also be something mechanical, like a screw or something that I'm not really sure what it is, but it makes me interested. Like, what is this? It could also be something that is related to intelligence or something. I'm not really sure. It also looks like a little bit like a network, kind of like a spider web. So all these ideas I have there, but I don't really get an idea what this app does. So I will not write down everything that I say. That would take too long. But I would try to just write down, I think, the most important things, and that's that app icon looks nice. So from the visuals, it looks definitely nice visually, but not 100% clear what it's about. Then, of course, we also see the title of the app, which is Timewave, and then we see flowing timers. So it is related to time. I don't quite understand how the app icon is related to time yet, but maybe I will understand. Maybe it also reminds me a little bit of the time machine icon on the Mac. Maybe it's related to that in that way to time. I'm not sure yet, but that's my feedback on the app icon. It looks nice visually, but not sure from like the contents of what it does. And that like could be a thought to improve that, but we will not judge that yet, because maybe it makes sense to have that app icon. Next up, let's have a look at the screenshots. That's what I would always check next when I have a look at the app. And the first screenshots we see always are the first 1.5 of the second. So let's see if we can already understand something from there. Time waves for your tasks. And then I see there are like Tabata, writing, sample flow, so different kinds of things that I work on, so a different kind of tasks. Then I can search, I can see that. And there is some kind of icon I can probably provide for the kind of task, so I can visually see the task. I see how long the task is, and then some details, okay. create sequential timers. Oh, that's an interesting keyboard down there. Oh, I can type the minutes and seconds with... That's cool. That's like a kind of an interesting UI element there for sure. Then sample flow, okay. Beautiful black and white design. I'm expecting that it's related to dark mode and white mode. And this is also definitely a custom timer. There's like a lot of visuals definitely in here, and the impression I get is also it's very simplistic from the design. So it's trying to stay simple and focused really on what it's about. And dark mode here, automatic dark mode it says. Drag and drop to add time bars. Oh, so also some kind of, so I can already see that there is going to be a lot of gestures and things like that I can do, or at least one. And this reminds me of the, I think it's called the To-Do, what was the app? To-Do Free? I don't remember the name. But it's definitely an app that also did that. And I think they won the Apple Design Award in that year for having kind of a gesture for the plus button, which can do different kinds of things. Personalize your time waves. Okay, I can choose icons, add notes for quick info, some text, okay. Browse logs by date. Okay, cool. So I can kind of track my time. Maybe it's similar even to our open focus timer that we're working on. Okay, it has like a menu. Yeah, okay, this like the screenshots just stay with the same coloring scheme definitely, and they give me a feeling for this is about, although we're not clearly answering which use case it solves, but it's definitely related, like it's consistent color scheme for sure, so that's definitely a plus. Shows off some of the custom UI or gestures, which is also definitely a plus. Sets the topic. Well, it's about tasks, it's about time, it's about yeah, basically task, time, and logging. There's like a logbook. So that's like the kind of topics, and I'm now thinking things like, okay, I might be able to track my work time even maybe with it. I can see you can track like when you are writing on a book or something like that, you can track that time. Does it has a timer or something like that? I don't know that yet. So it's not clear to me if it counts the time or I have to enter the time. So that's maybe unclear if it tracks the time or supports me in tracking the time. If app supports me in tracking time, or just entering. Okay, that's that for the screenshots. Then let's continue with the description. But typically I scroll down first, so description always comes last. Maybe we can read the main title that we can read here. This is the What's New section. And now we can read, you can create a timer that fires after 10 minutes on your phone, right? But what if you could create another one that started right after the current timer and fired? That makes me interested. Like, this is written in a way that I want to actually click the more. That's definitely a good thing. So cut off has like a cliffhanger to invite me to click more. That's definitely a plus. That's definitely something that makes sense. So you should maybe have a look where it gets truncated, the text, like for everyone who's doing descriptions, and then try to like create, this is like creating a question to me. Now I want to click more and just read on. Fired and fire 20 minutes after that, and another one that fired 5 minutes after that. Okay. Allows you to do that with time. If I'm not going to read all the text again, I'm just going through this thing as I would as a normal user. What can you do with Timewave? Custom workouts, cool. 20-20-20 rule, what's that? Create a time flow to follow the 20-20-20 rule. So every 20 minutes look at something and then away for 20 seconds while working with screens to prevent eye strain. Oh, that's a cool thing. So it helps also teach me, it just teach me something, which is great. And also it's about health, and that's always something that brings value. Focus timers. Okay, we do have a timer, and it's also called focus timers. 25 minutes, cooking, ever had to keep resetting, okay, anything, everything else. Cool. Audio dictation, wow, it has some special features. Personalize your Timewave black and white UI, multi-device. So I'm expecting it syncs via iCloud, it says, yes. Notifications, logbook, personal touch, handcrafted indie app. That's for sure. I can see that already from the screenshot. So the description I think is quite on point. It's very good because it has always these titles. It's not just a blob of text or something like that. And when I skim through, I always watch for these titles. Unfortunately, as we can see, it's not getting like it's markdown formatted basically, but it's not getting actually bold. But I think that's something we can't do anything about. But I still get it, like the titles. And yeah, cool. Well done. Well done. As titles, answers my questions from the screenshots. Like, does it have a timer? So that's answered. And that's nice. Then let's have a look at the privacy. So I see no data, data not collected at all. And I always also click this link to see in more detail, because you don't have to provide, like I've seen apps that basically say they don't collect any data, but that's more only about they are not collecting it on their servers, or they're not collecting and sharing it with others, because Apple provides some exemptions. And so I always check in details the privacy page. I can see the very first thing I see here is very short. So that's definitely a plus, the privacy page. When it's short, it's always good. Short. And then I can see debugging data. Okay, we use Apple's opt-in service. That's fine. Personal data, nothing. We just can't. Anything you enter is stored locally on or on your own iCloud. Any questions? It even has a link. So that's definitely, it's very short. It's on point. The debugging part is related to Apple, so that's totally makes sense. That's so it's even it doesn't just say we're not collecting your data. It always explains that actually, if you have opted in with Apple's feature that Apple provides crash reporting to the developer, that even through Apple you might somehow, your data might land out at the developer, but that's not something that the developer has set up, right? This is something that actually is a feature provided by Apple, and the user has already said like yes, and you don't have to mention it here actually, as far as I know. At least I'm not a lawyer, but I think you don't have to mention it. It's still mentioned, which is I think very great. On point, no data collected basically by the developer, not even analytics, and even has call to actions if you want to know more. So perfect. Let's continue. Availability. So let's check which languages and countries. So I only see English language here, so I think it doesn't support any other languages yet. I think chat is broken for me. Oh, okay. So I've had this issue as well a few days ago on other streams. What helped me was just trying out a different browser. I don't know where you're watching from. Maybe you just want to try out a different client or something. And if it happens on all of them, maybe you have a proxy on, maybe you have Apple's iCloud privacy, and maybe that doesn't work with Twitch. I don't know. Maybe that will help. Is anyone else having chat issues? Can oh, CEVNZ. How do you say your name? Welcome to the stream. Hi. Safari. Maybe I should try Chrome. Yeah, you could try Chrome or any other browser. Okay, so availability. We have only English. And we want to check also the platforms. So this works on iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, Mac, Apple Watch, even Apple Watch. Cool. So all platforms, all Apple platforms. So that's great. I think that's availability and overall impression of the store page. So overall, I get definitely a feeling that this is really well handcrafted. Hello, you can say my name like 7S or sevens. I see. No issues with chat for me. Cool. So maybe user FIP, you just have to, or I don't know how to say your name, but you have to figure out how to do that. So overall impression, I definitely do have like well crafted, well designed, handcrafted feeling. It has a consistent color scheme, very clear in the description. The only thing I have still issues with is the icon. I just don't understand the icon yet. Like that's my don't understand. Maybe it's also representing something that I just don't know. So it could be, I don't understand the app icon yet. What about you, chat? So if there's anyone, like, is there anyone who has other feedback on the app icon? Maybe ideas what it could mean? Do you have the same impression like I have, or do you have other ideas? Thanks for the feedback, we'll improve on it. Sure. Let's continue with the next part. First app use. So now we're getting into the serious actual part of it. And now I'm going to start the app for the first time, and let's see what's happening. I can tell you the idea. Anybody want to try? Yeah, let's try first. So app starting, and right away I can see some content. So this is the first time I have started the app. I see there is content. The first feedback I can already give is there is no guidance here. The app doesn't tell me what I should do now. So like for an onboarding experience, I think it should be like on the first app start, the app should guide you. It doesn't have to be like this pages that you scroll through where it explains what the app stands for. It doesn't have to be that way. It could also be like an animation that just tells me, for example, I should now press here, or just a text somewhere saying like, do this. So this is just demo data as far as I can say. That's like my first impression here. So no guidance on first start. Looks like a radar. Until now at least. Okay, let's continue. So let me scroll. I can scroll. I can click on things. Cool. So I can see jumping jacks. Oh, there are different parts in when you track something. You can track different parts of it. That's nice. I can see notes. That's nice. I can click X. Oh, this clears notes. Okay, I was like, why I clicked X is because I asked myself, what does this X do if there is also the back button on the left side? I wasn't really sure if it's a clear, because for the clear, iOS uses typically the circular icon. So I'm used to that meaning clear. And also typically a clear kind of action isn't at the top right. And if there is one, it also is kind of red, like to communicate that it's a destructive action. At least we have a confirm, so it's not deleting right away. That's great. That's also absolutely needed. But maybe also the icon could be placed maybe at the bottom of the screen, so it's inviting. Like the button at the top right is I connected with the main action. I connected with like the save action or the done action or something like that. And this doesn't do that. It's fine with the confirmation dialog, but maybe you want to put it at the bottom of the screen so it's not like the most inviting button here. Clear notes. Are you sure you want to clear your notes? No, let's cancel. Let's see if there's an animation if we do it. Okay, it goes right back to the screen. That's fine. Okay, I want to see what this plus button does. Let me click the plus button. Okay, I'm getting into the screen, and this screen looks definitely clean. But what I would expect when I wanna, like, I'm just starting to use this app, but from other apps I'm used to when I want to add something, and the main thing is a title that I'm directly in the title entering, so that I don't have to make this press, that I can right away go there. Maybe that's the shortcut that could take, but that's just an idea. Okay, let's write something. Title, test, or let's. Okay, one thing that's also part of onboarding is I don't know what to create now, because the app hasn't provided me like what should I put in the title. I saw before there is, oh, time travel, nice. There's Tabata, writing, sample flow. Is this a project? Is this a long-term thing? Is it a single task? I'm not sure about the context. So should I put like open focus timer here, for example? Or should I put something like add package Swift parsing to the open focus timer, which is like a smaller thing. So I'm not really clear about that. Then let's continue. Logbook. What is logbook? Is this something that always exists, or is it a project that was created as part of the demo data? It's not really clear to me. So what is demo data? What is required field? Unclear specifically on logbook. I'm expecting this is not demo data. This is actually logs I can create. And again, the delete button is at the top right for deleting them. Again, it's inviting me to click it. because that's like the place where I click things. I can also see that logbook is truncated. I saw that also on the other screen. So that's a small thing that you could also improve here. And I can go through I can't swipe. I'm trying to swipe here. So I just swiped here. Can I click on it? Yeah, I can click on it. That's fine. Cool. Also on the icon, it would be great. I don't know if that's possible. This looks like a system dialog. If I can see somehow on which days I actually have logs, on which days I don't. So that will be some great feature there. Okay, what is this play icon at the top? I'm expecting the top right one, so this one, to be kind of a settings. And this one, maybe it's a timer. Not really sure because it doesn't have any connection to time. It just has a connection to play. So it might also be related to, I don't know, playing audio during, or is starting a timer, maybe, probably. Launcher bar, one or more time bars items have an invalid duration. Okay, so we definitely have, this is like empty state. So error empty state. That's definitely a plus. Oops. It's great to have that. X button placement is also fine. Although this something on the screen feels wrong to me. Probably because the X is like not at the bottom of the screen, also not in the middle. It's kind of somewhere in between. And I can understand that for the title, but maybe just like my feeling. It doesn't have to be like the final judgment, but from my feeling this should probably be at the top and the X at the bottom to be reachable easily, but I don't know. You always have to play around with these things to see what works, but this doesn't look 100% perfect to me, but it's fine. It's not that bad. Time bar title. Oh, this is the nice UI that we had here. Can I add 8 minutes? 45 seconds. So I can't make it longer than an hour. I'm expecting this is on purpose, but again, this is like, the app hasn't guided me and told me what I'm creating this for. So I'm not exactly sure why I can't do longer than 1 hour. Oh, there's this plus button and I could swipe it. I'm trying to swipe it. Nothing happens. If I click it, then a new time bar type. Okay. Oh, I can create multiple time bars. Ah, that's where I can edit it. Okay, I wasn't sure where I can edit it, so that's also feedback. I tried to click here. I expected that to edit it, the title, but it makes it disappear again. So maybe you wanna highlight more that this is actually the text. How you could do that? You could put you could either make it the first responser right away, but what would happen then? Okay, this is maybe not great. But if the title is actually empty, maybe it makes sense to make it the first responser right away. So on the first use, the app, the user understands that's the place where you can enter the title. And if I enter something, oh, this is okay. I expected this button because it looks very much like the delete button on the keyboard to just delete one key at a time. But it cleared it all out. And you had the other icon on the other screen where you had also a clear button that cleared all out. And I think they are doing the same thing. They're like deleting all the text. So I think they should be consistent and look the same. And I wouldn't go for this specific icon here because this is really related to deleting one at a time. I would just use the other icon here as well. So it's the same one. And this is also on the left side, which is okay, I guess. Yeah, I think it's a design decision that could be done. What is this thing here at the bottom? 0. It's not changing. Hello? Let's give it some values. Okay, I can make it longer than 1 hour, of course, if I put up to 99, I guess. And this one, we call it world. You see, I have to press twice to enter a title. If the title is something that the users typically should add there, I think it should be the first response right away, this text field. So you should try to make that work somehow. What happens if I keep it 0? Will I get any warnings? Will this break the app? Let's see. And the note, oops, what just happened? I clicked on notes, I clicked on the screen, and it's leaving the screen. So I don't know if that's a feature. And also again, notes gets truncated again. Okay, I don't know what's happening. I think there's a bug there with the notes. I'm not sure. And also in this notebook, it's empty. That's definitely related to empty states. Its logbook doesn't have an empty state. An empty state means that the screen that doesn't have any data yet communicates to me somehow how I can change that. Because I'm not seeing any data and I don't know how to change that. No, damn, that's a bug with notes, we'll fix soon. Yeah, sure, bugs are totally okay. Just make sure to fix it. And that's also why I'm testing these things out. And oh, everybody has bugs from time to time. And it's not, the app wasn't crashing, so that's already a good thing. Cool. Yeah, empty state means always changing the fact that I don't know how can I change this. I want data. I want to see data here. I don't know how to change it. So there could be just a text somewhere in the middle here. You have to first, I don't know, start your first a session or something like that. Or maybe if I can actually add something, it should have a plus button somewhere here on the screen, which could change it. But let's try to get things done. So let me see the property. Oh, that changes to the edit screen. I see. Okay, so one feedback from my iOS user point of view, the edit screen is something that I'm used to either getting by clicking the word that is fully written as edit, or the edit icon, which is even I think called edit in the SF symbols. I'm not sure if you're using SF symbols, but I'm expecting something more like this, or this to get into some kind of edit screen. You don't have to use it, but at least the icon that you have used, is for me more like changing properties, changing settings or something. Not settings immediately, but like, for example, if there is multiple notification minutes that I could configure or something like that, that's what I would assume with that. And we can like move them around. That's nice. Save. Cool. If we click play, yeah, nothing happened there. Oh, I can also put a description. I just tried out, like, can I click that description thing? Because it looks like a placeholder for a text. I'm not really sure. So due to the design, how it's structured, I thought maybe this is just a label for this text field. So I thought maybe this just says that this at the top is a description, but it's actually something where I could type text. So let's just use. Oh, okay, it's just one line. So I can write a long description and it's not getting into multiple lines. That's also something you might want to try, that it's like a text field that grows and you can scroll at the bottom. Because if you want to provide a description, I can imagine people using a lot of text, maybe even add links there or something like that. Let's actually try links. HTTP, let's actually go to Twitch here. Save. How can I click save? Okay, I don't have to click save. I think it saves automatically. Does it? Yeah, kind of. Okay, but also links not really recognized. So that's two suggestions there. First, make it scrollable, so it grows, multi-lines. And then also maybe links clickable. That's always great to have in descriptions. Okay, let's try to figure out what else we have. We have a search. Is it working? Let me click on that. Open. It does work. So one thing for search, it definitely works. That's definitely fine. But you could basically mark the text that I have searched for so I can understand why it matches. It's obvious in the open, but if I, for example, search for Twitch, okay, it doesn't search in the description in that case. You see here you have the other clear icon. Here, this is the icon that I would expect as a clear icon. And unfortunately, the other clear icons, that the other two we had in other places, were both different. And I think consistency is definitely important here. I made the description one line for it to be short. Long description is for the notes. That was the idea. Oh, I see. Okay, so description and notes are too specific. Okay, that's maybe a learning for you that somehow I didn't figure that out. And maybe other users might also not understand the difference. And I also thought the note is about a specific session, but I guess it's not. So I can go here. I can create multiple. This is just one note. Basically, not multiple. Okay, because this is called notes, I have the feeling that I can create like multiple, like each time I work on this, maybe I can create a different note. But then my question would be like, what's the difference between a description and a note? Like, what's from the conceptual perspective? How do I use them differently? Why don't you just have notes and that's it? I don't know. Just a question to think about. And for the search, yeah, showing the like something like these are marked somehow that I know this is the matching part. And I see I could also change the icon, right? Ah, yeah, okay. I see quite a bit of icon. I find the icons a little bit small here, so you might want to try to make them bigger, because like I can see them. I have good eyesight, thankfully, but I can imagine many people not being able to really see what the icon looks like. So definitely you should probably make them bigger. Okay. Cool. One thing I'm missing on the screen is kind of a save button, because I never know if my changes are directly saved or not. And also not having a save button means that if they are saved automatically, you can't revert something that you did accidentally. So you can't say like, okay, I'm editing this description and I'm thinking, actually I don't want to change it. And then you just want to revert it, and it's not possible to cancel anything here. So maybe for the future, considering that, but I think it's fine also to have an autosave. So let's try to have a look at some of these data. So we have a description here, a logbook here. Okay, there's no, in this logbook, I would expect some data for the demo data. So that's like also where you can show off how to use this. And for French fries, maybe, is this about like making French fries? Shouldn't there then be like in the notes? A description. Okay, so write your recipe here. I think if you provide demo data, you should provide more detail there. Like here, there should be actually an example recipe, for example. And the recipe could also be a good one, or a nice one, or an interesting or funny one to create more excitement with the user. But let's try to this. Okay, this is already the details. I will probably open this once only on the first app. You see that this is like about details. It's not something I immediately need. And basically, I think this is the impression I will get of the app. I didn't find out how to use the timer. I'm going to try to figure that out in the third part, but this is like the thing I would actually do and try to get an understanding of what the app does on a first app usage. So if I miss something really key and important feature, please tell me so I can check it out, also part of this. But yeah, that's my first app usage experience. As for the interaction feedback, so whenever I clicked something, I did have response, which is great. Also, when I click this button, it has a press state. And whenever I did something, and that's like the confirmation part, it was not always there. This saving, for example. Korhan Baba, selam, kolay gelsin, hayırlı işler dilerim, teşekkür ederim, thank you. He's just saying, yeah, have a good time. Yeah, cool, thank you for writing in the chat. The 0 button on the custom keypad resets the time. Okay, let's have a look at that. Ah, I see. Okay. Okay, that was absolutely not clear to me. And even now that I know it, I'm not thinking like, obviously that you should know that. I think the icon needs a label here. I understand that you're trying to make this look really simple and like stripped down to what is really needed. In this case, I would say you need a title, at least on first usage. Like when I have never clicked that button yet, it should actually basically, I think, have a title or something like that. So consider adding something there. Interaction feedback. Generally, I definitely know the navigation, like where I am all the time. And I think the app was also put simple. Will improve. I need more clear instructions. Yeah, sure. That's why we're here, to find out on which places you need more and on which places the app already works fine. So everything I have not mentioned is already working great. And there's a lot of them. So interaction feedback and press states are there. Confirmation for destructive actions, but not for safe. Let's get to the app feature exploration. So let's have a look at the other screens now. So we're going into more details. Timewave store. Okay, this is an interesting feature. French fries. I don't quite understand this. What happens when I click plus? Nothing. Add store items. Are you sure you want to add all the store items? This cannot be undone. Store. Timewave store. Timewave trash. Ah, by store you mean like the like persisted data? Is that what you mean by store? Like storage? Because you're using the like a shop icon, And I'm expecting I can buy something somehow, or like I don't quite understand what this feature does, to be honest. So, and also the clicking plus button, nothing happens. I can only see that I have clicked it. It has recognized that I click it, which is great. But nothing happens, and something should happen. I should get, even if I do something wrong, the app should tell me what I'm doing wrong. Add all store items. Also, nothing happens when I do that. Okay, I don't quite get this. Also, I can't click on them. Let's try the trash. So there's nothing in the trash. Probably I have to delete something first. Let's go here. And what do I have to delete? Probably... How can I delete this entire thing? Can I swipe this? Oh yeah, okay. So using the normal iOS feature. So for iOS users, this is going to be probably figurable out, but you're using kind of custom UI. Your UI is trying to look different from normal iOS UI. So I'm not sure if every user will expect that every iOS gesture is also working there. So consider like when you have really normal looking UI that just is plain SwiftUI produced UI looking, I think you don't have to do that. Users will expect, just try out swiping because they're used to every iOS app to have that feature. But in your app, I think it's great that you have that, but you should signal to the user somehow how they can delete. And maybe for some features, it makes sense to provide multiple ways. So having this swipe action, plus having, if I go to the detail here, at the bottom of the screen, like a delete button. I think that will be definitely something you should consider. Now I'm expecting something here. In the trash? Yeah, I can see it now. Oh, I can revert. Ah, okay, I see. Well, I can probably delete fully. So you have like a trash feature. Oh, that was how I delete. And now I can delete fully or all of them. I get that. Contact our team. So yeah, that's definitely an email contact way. Report a bug. Same, also email. That's great. Check out our Instagram. So you do have Instagram, connect on Twitter, you have Twitter, you have your website listed. Let's open that. Working. Share app. You open the share sheet here. And let's see what exactly you have in the share sheet. So you have a text here. That's just a link to the app, or do you have a description as well? Yeah, description as well. Cool. Oh, I'm out of the settings. Rate on the App Store, and we will definitely do that. Privacy policy, and this just opens the page here. Designed and handcrafted by Timewave team. Cool. So very, very simple settings here. But as I said, the Timewave store, I'm not clear what the store is. Also long press for delete. Ah. Oh, we have a menu here, I see. That's great, specifically on iPad or on a Mac, because users are going to try right-clicking, and this is, I guess, the same. UI they will get when they right click. Launch Calibre. Oh, now we're in the screen. That was the screen I was looking for. I don't know why I didn't get into the screen, but for the sample data it seems to work. So that's how. Okay, let's try this out. What's happening here? Breathe in, breathe out. Ah, so it does like multiple timers after each other. That was the thing that I could create there. How can I go back like this? So that's the jumping. Now I get it. Now I get it. So that's how long it took me to really get what the app does. I think the biggest problem was when I click this play here. Oh, it works here. It didn't work on my own data. Wait, why didn't it work? Where is it? Why do I have so many now? Is it because I clicked on the store, the plus? Is this like? Is this like a feature where I can create some of them and then I can like on a day say like, okay, I'm going to do this today, so I add it from the store here. Is it something like that? So definitely the app needs more guidance at the first start, so I understand how I can use it. But let's try this out now. So we have Tabata, jumping jacks first. So one thing is when I click on the display icon, maybe you shouldn't start right away, because I might click that to get onto the screen and then I might want to start after that. So if you, I don't know if you've tried out Apple Fitness Plus, for example, even there, when you click start a session, work session there, it just like sends the play button to your Apple Watch, for example, and you have to still click that play button, which I find great because then you can like prepare, you can get on the right place, and then you just click that. I really need an onboarding flow. Yeah, I think that would make the app immediately much more understandable for users. Okay, so definitely the UI looks sick. It's really simple. Only thing I can give as feedback that's for accessibility is this shadow here. I can see that, but I can also see that many people won't be able to recognize this, especially if it's more in a dark environment or you have like a lot of sunlight. Then I can imagine you can't really see that it's actually that there is a shadow or something. So you might want to add also a small kind of line border and also more shadow darkness, something like that. So this resets the current one. This goes back to the previous one, and I can pause. What's this button doing? Oh, this turns on and off some sounds, I guess. And this turns on an audio guide. When I click play, what happens now? Okay, you couldn't hear that now, but when I click that button here, oh, now it works. Jumping jacks for 20 seconds, it said, when you have the guide on. Rest, it said now. Cool. So I can turn that on and then I don't have to look at the screen. That's definitely a great feature. Is there more to the screen? We have the finish here. I can't click the finish here and start. So these are data. But one thing also I can give as feedback is because your buttons colors or your interactable things colors are fully black and also some content color is black, it's not always clear what you can click and what you cannot. So I was thinking maybe I can click that. And can I click the Tabata at the top? No. So I also just tried to click this and it didn't work. Can I do something with the... Okay, I just clicked here on this area just to see if I can interact with that in some way. And it didn't work. Is there like... Okay, when I move my phone, nothing happens. So that's I think, the feedback here. Is there any screen or feature I missed I should maybe have a look at? Other than that, I will check the next point, which is the system integration. So color scheme cannot be adjusted. No adjustable color scheme. That's a feature that I like always, like to have like more personalized experience. App icon can't be adjusted. At least I didn't find that. Notifications, it was asked, but I can't configure it. But is there a need for configuring notifications? Probably not, but there, yeah, probably not. Let's remove that. How easy is reporting bugs? Easy, via email. So a next step of that is always that I can also somehow find kind of a community or something like that where I can see feature requests or feedbacks from other people. So I have a feeling for if this is already reported or not. Maybe I can just click upvote or something like that. But that's like the next step and it's absolutely not needed. And I wouldn't recommend doing it at the start of an app. So that's something for like version 2 or 3, just to think about. But email is already great. Then do we have widget support? Let's check that. Try to add a widget here and search for Timewave. No, I don't see Timewave listed, so I'm guessing no widget support. And do we have some shortcut support? Let me try to add a new one here and see if I can find your Timewave app. Nope, okay. Now, would it make sense to have shortcuts? Probably not really, but it's always great to have shortcuts support on any app in my opinion, because some people might actually use shortcuts app a lot. They might have a home automation, for example, and they might want to open your app or trigger specific actions in your app, like opening the Tabata screen when they say, okay, hey Siri, it's Tabata time. I hope it's not going, okay, nothing happening. And then maybe they want to just integrate. So it's always great to provide some actions to Siri. So no widgets, no shortcuts. Content search doesn't make sense, I think. Dark mode, let's try that out. Let's just switch. Yeah, nice. And it also looks really good on dark. Very good. Dark mode supported. landscape, split mode. I think that's more important on iPads, so I'm just going to skip that. Accessibility, so it's not localized. Let's check the date formatting quickly. You do have, this is just a custom format. So a small feedback here, you have a white space between 0 and M, but no between M0 and S. That's the small things that I always care about. But yeah, that's not a big deal. And let's see if there's any logbook entries. Okay, I can see 0 minutes, same here. 0 min, 3 seconds. Then there's space between the, like, as far as I know, typically there's no space when you write like a time. And it's also showing at 2:46 p.m. Although I have actually set my settings, as far as I remember, to German style. So if I just go here to my language and region, my language is set to English US, but my region is set to Germany. And therefore I would expect if you use the right date formatter, that the time here looks different. So you might want to consider using date formatter or localizing. Yeah, but localization is generally not supported yet, so no localization. Do the text scale. Let's try that out. Scale back here into accessibility. And let's turn on display size, larger text. Let's make it all that large. Does it change? Yes, it does change. It looks much bigger. Nice. Supports dynamic type. Cool. I think it supports it everywhere, even in the settings here. Oh, what just happened? Somehow, okay, is this a dark mode issue? Let me switch back. Okay, now it works. So there was some kind of UI glitch there, and it's happening again. So I can reproduce it, don't know what exactly happening, but maybe you want to check that out as well. Did you drop your link on a Twitter thread last night, this morning? You mean like to my stream here? I think so, yeah. I did drop it. So thank you for writing Amity Horror. Do you mean like this streams link? It's also on my profile page. Yeah, Twitter. Yeah, I dropped it. Also today I said that I would do this stream. Okay, that was dynamic type. And lastly, let's try VoiceOver. So I have VoiceOver configured for 3 presses. And let's turn it on. So you're not hearing what Siri says now, but I will read it out loud. So it just said VoiceOver on, settings button, create timer, okay, search, French fries. Can I swipe, right? It's going through everything. Okay, for the icon it just says love image, which is also fine. Can I open? Okay. How did I get there actually? That's interesting. Start, finish. It's all reading the text. Yeah, I can hear all the different buttons and we can definitely, let's try out. Okay, this is saying chevron compact right. I think it will be like, it looks like the app just works automatically with VoiceOver, probably not optimized for VoiceOver yet, because for this, for example, it should say something like next. Instead it's reading out the name of the icon, which works here, but it would be improved if it works better. Tapping the icon launches the Calibre. I see, okay. That's great. Let's click the settings. Okay, it's reading them all out. Okay. Basically, it's reading all the text. And the reason why it basically works most of the time is because the whole text is automatically supported by SwiftUI. I don't know if is this app written in SwiftUI actually? I mean, it looks like it's written in SwiftUI because it has nice animations and nice visuals. And I'm guessing that most people would start with SwiftUI by now. But yeah, that's like a question also. And well, SwiftUI, very nice. And so what you could provide is for all the icons for VoiceOver support, to just provide an accessibility label that will basically make your app fully work with with Voiceover. Voiceover works mostly. Some icons need accessibility texts. Okay, error handling, we're not going to check that. The app works fully offline. Fully works offline. Doesn't make sense to check for network issues. So that's the second part. The third is the second part. Is the third part, and we had a look at the details. I hope that was useful. And last but not least, let's get to the category-based rating. And again, I just want to remind you that this is very subjective, just from my point of view. And I'm always going to rate by also basically what the app targets to do. And let's get back to the app icon actually. I still don't fully understand what it does. So you can clarify the app icon now. Maybe you can try to explain what it does. I just see it looks also a little bit like the time things on a clock, but not 100%. So maybe you can clarify. So accessibility, localization, legibility, it was definitely legible. The text, it also supported dynamic text. For VoiceOver was mostly working, but it's just not localized yet, which I think is fine for getting started. And also some VoiceOver optimizations needed for accessibility. So I would give this definitely 2 stars already, but some things that could be improved. Customizability, so I can't change the app colors, I can't change the app icon. There's not much to configure. Notifications, I think, is not necessarily needed to be configurable in this app, because I'm guessing it just works when you're in a focus timer. But definitely some customizations could be needed. And customizability, I think so far is not provided that much, but this is also a very specific topic anyway, so let's give it 1 star, I would say, for now. Then we have design, colors, navigation, icons, colors, definitely consistent. Platform fit, it does definitely make sense, like the whole look is a little bit different than normal, but it is definitely fitting the system. The icons, sometimes the icons are not chosen perfectly, as I already said. Navigation was great, very easy. So I would give this a 2 star as well. Some improvements possible. Bug reporting is definitely provided. Feature requests can also be given there. User forum doesn't exist yet, but that's for later, but definitely 2 stars here as well. And notifications is for background mode. Yeah, that's what I was expecting, but during a timer running, right? App icon is based on the clock hands. Okay, I see. Yeah, I can understand that on the clock hands, but it's just an unusual one maybe. So I mean, clock hands look a little bit different. And also I have a new one on my watch now with watchOS 8.4. There's actually a new clock hand. I don't know if you will be able to see that, but that's like a new colored kind of thing. So everyone with an Apple Watch might want to try that out. Onboarding store on the App Store, definitely it was explaining very well. The guide in the app was completely missing, unfortunately. Empty states, sometimes they were there, sometimes missing. Problem statement also kind of missing. The problem statement, what problem is this app solving? Except for in the description at the beginning, what if you want to have multiple timers after each other? That was great. So overall, I think there is some room for improvement, so I'm giving 2 stars here as well. Privacy, absolutely transparent, absolutely clear, 3 stars. Reliability, so performance, stability, bug freeness, and offline mode works completely. It's also stable, it's not crashing. The performance was great, so everything was working really fast. So if I open the app, it's right there. But bug free was, we found a couple of bugs, not really big ones, but definitely also some smaller blockers for some features. So I can only give 2 stars here overall. Simplicity, intuitive, focused, convenient. It's definitely focused, very clear what to do. Intuitive, I could figure out most things, but some places I wasn't sure, like I wasn't sure about what this time store is. I wasn't sure about like where do I need to press to edit the text and things like that. So some improvements possible here as well, giving 2 stars. System integration, so widgets, not there yet. I think it would make sense to have a widget here, which could be either showing the current state of what I have currently running, or it could maybe just have a shortcut to getting right into one of the specific things I want to do. So like all the different, how are they called? All the different title, I don't know how they are called, sessions, could be put into specific widgets and then right away started. Shortcuts integration, always great to have some actions there. Content search I think is not really needed, although like the titles like French fries, if I search for French fries here, yeah, it doesn't find French fries, so it's not there. I would give 1 star here overall. There's still room there. Value delivery, idea, concept, attention to detail. So I see definitely some custom UI, which is for minutes and seconds. I found that quite nice, except for the zeroing button, but that's a small detail. The whole concept of like having a timer that automatically continues, I think it's really, really, really useful for like kind of sessions where you have different parts. For example, like a workout, you could create your own workout in this app. So basically you don't need a workout app anymore if you know how to do your workouts. For example, my father is a person who really likes to, who has a lot of experience in doing sports, and he really likes to create his own workouts and things like that. He could use this app and basically create a workout for himself, and then he could just work out the way he thinks it makes sense. And I think that's great. This is also great for like, if you're if you had an injury or something like that, and then you have a physicist who tries to help you to get like back with your knee or something like that is broken, and then you have to do some exercise. The physicist could create the exercise in the app, like for the first week one exercise, for the second week one. So I can imagine many different, and then the person could do that, and I can imagine many other use cases as well. So I think the opportunities are really great. The idea and concept is really great, and it also works nicely. I didn't complete an entire one yet, but yeah, overall this is definitely a free. I think the whole idea I think has a lot of potential, and it's also implemented very well. And then last but not least, excitement. So interaction feedback, we definitely got always feedback when we did things. The graphics I think looks really nice. It's really clean. The sound effects, I didn't see many effects, but during the time workout I think it's very useful also, but maybe that's more on value delivery, that you can also do the things without looking at the screen, which is great. But for excitement, maybe I don't know what happens if you finish one of them. Can I start this? No. Create a 5-second thing here. Start now. Let's see what happens when it ends. Okay, I just got a small notification sound saying dum, but that's it. Maybe some kind of I don't know. Yes, on Wednesday we tested a push-up app, and at the end there were like emojis falling from the top. You could also have like something like some fire up, something like that, that maybe celebrates that I have finished it. Maybe that would create more excitement. But interaction feedback is there. So overall, there's still, and the graphics. I think overall, I think I can give it 2 here. Cool. So that's the overall count, and we have a count of 22 or 30. This is really, really great. And yeah, that's basically my review then. I want to thank you definitely for participating in this. I really, really hope that this helped. And everyone who is maybe watching also as like not the developer who basically watched this, let's actually give yeah, definitely follow this developer. Let me share the link again. So here's the link, and you please make sure and follow him on Twitter. Check out the app on Twitter on the apps page. And I'm actually going to write an app review now, as we have actually done an app review. And let's just give this app a small rating. Timewave. There we go. So let's give an honest rating. I really like this app. You must own this item to write a custom. Oh, looks like with promo code it's probably not working. Can I give a rating? No. Okay, I can't do something here, but yeah, thank you. I hope this was useful anyway, so thank you very much for joining. And this is basically the app review. I will make sure to share this document with you after the stream. And again, I will create some kind of visual certificate so you can like prove that you have taken part in this thing, and maybe you can put it on your website if you want or something like that. And but most importantly, I hope this was helpful. And yeah, looking forward to future ones to do. And if you want to thank me in some way, just follow me on Twitch, stay followed. You can also subscribe on YouTube. I have it linked in my Twitch about page. And yeah, that's all I think I need there. Thank you very much. And now we're getting on to our actual topic on the focus timer. And yeah, first two changes. Let me close this quick time. 2 changes on this channel. I have actually made 2 changes on how I stream. First change is the length of the stream. I changed it from 4 hours to 3 hours each time because I was actually requested to make these streams shorter by some people, because some actually want to watch it from start to finish. I wasn't sure if people would do that, but yeah, people have reported that they want to do that, and it's hard to do it if it's 4 hours, so I'm making it shorter so it's easier to watch it from start to finish if they want to do that. Second change is I used to do work on the open focus timer, which is a full SwiftUI app basically that I'm writing in the open. It's also open source. On the Wednesday streams, and on the Friday streams I was trying to do some other open source tool for work and things like that, and I'm changing this up to always work on one project and just work on the same on Wednesday and Friday. So I'm going to work on the focus time on Fridays now as well. That's why we're continuing here. And I will also work on other open source frameworks, but I will just do it after the open focus timer is finished. Then I will work on the next project, and this might be some open source tool. So that's the 2 changes, and with that out of the way, let's get started with the open focus timer. So let's have a look at the last time stream summary, which we have here. And so we did last time the Pushoji app review. Let's actually copy that, we will need that. And what the progress we made is we added a missing link from the timer model to the category, and that was missing. We added a model extensions for our core data models, so we can easily initialize them without, like with proper optional support. Then we applied the composable architecture on the app entry point, and we started persisting the running timers. One blocker that really took a lot of time last stream was getting the hex string representation from a SwiftUI color. Somehow I couldn't figure that out, so I went through UI color. I was trying to do it without UI color, but it didn't work out, so I just used UI color, and the learning was, yeah, just use that to get the RGB values from color. And next steps, that's basically the part that we need right now, so we know where to continue. Is we want to continue with reading the current timer from a database and the app entry point reducer. So let's actually already open that. If I just open the project here, this is our Xcode project. And we want to go to app entry point reducer. So we are using the composable architecture from point 3 in this project. And we are also using their modularization approach. So both of them, I'm mentioning it every stream, but let me mention again because I can really recommend it. This is the Point Free website. It is a paid video service, but the most important things I am using, they are free. So you can check out their modularization part 1 video, which is how we modularize the app. And the other thing you can check out is the composable architecture. And here, the tour here, consisting of 4 videos, it's also free. So you can check them out and watch them, and then you have all you need to get started. Okay, it was the app entry point reducer. Okay, this is where we want to continue. This is not implemented yet. So you can see the structure here with the different packages. We're using the modularization into packages. And the actual app is just this small thing, and it's just one file, and it doesn't do much, which makes every part also really testable. Thanks, Jihad, for the review. I just saw this, so yeah, I'm glad. Hope it helped. Next thing we wanted to do is connect the timer UI to the database and store the data, then add a reflection screen with a summary of the session, and connect the reflection screen to the database. So let's show quickly what the app does right now. So I'm going to run the macOS application, doesn't really matter. It supports macOS and iOS. Let me build here. It's starting. And yeah, it's just having one screen. Very, very simple screen so far. as we haven't developed much, but we were working on also making the code look nice and be well structured and testable. And this screen is also fully tested already, so we can start, and then the timer just runs. It runs through 0, and then we get a simple dialog. And basically what we want to do, and what this reflection screen is about that we want to implement, is we want to see, we want to be able to create feedback how the session was. For example, and this is exactly the 4 things we want to have: the progress that we did there, the problems we came across, the learnings we have there maybe, and the next steps, so we know where to continue when we work on the same kind of category task next time. And yeah, if you want to know, let me actually write project here. More about the project, it's actually linked here. There's documentation, and you can also check out the open source project on GitHub. But we wanted to continue here. Let me create a new entry for what we want to, the summary document already. And for that I have to create something here. And this is basically, we're using Notion here right now, but we want to replace this Notion usage with our open focus timer. That's the whole purpose. So we reviewed the Timewave app today, and we are working on open focus timer, and this is part 4. Cool. Okay, let's get started. Not yet implemented, continue here by reading the current focus timer from the database. So we have a core data database, which is this structure here. Batulanbu. Thank you for following. Very interesting name. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Okay, we have these core data entries, category groups, the focus timer. This is the thing we want to read. And in here, do we have actually access to the database? Thanks, what about you? Yeah, I'm doing great. We just did the app review, which was really nice. And now we're getting back to our focus timer app. Are you an iOS developer? Are you, like, what's your background? How are you interested in the stream? Let me know. App entry point reducer. Okay, the access is provided through the environment, and I think we extracted the environment last time. So we have the app environment here with the main queue to control time. This is the managed object context, so we can access a core data, and the now date producer, so we can provide a different now date in our tests to make this testable. And basically the question is, do we have access to the app environment in our reducer here? So our reducer is using app.env. Yes, we do have access there. Actually, I'm trying to improve myself in the web field. I'm rather new. Cool. So what technology are you using in the web field? How do you develop? Do you like use React Native or something else? What's your thing? I used to do some web stuff as well, mostly backend, but some frontend as well. I wrote it in Ruby on Rails. So Ruby was the language I was using back then. What's your framework? Maybe React. So you haven't decided yet. I'm not really the best person to ask for web development, but React seems to be one of the things that are really important, really popular. Also Vue. I don't know if you know Vue.js. I'm looking at Svelte these days. What's Svelte? Yeah, have a look. Svelte. Or enhanced web apps. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Is this like a framework like Ruby on Rails? That where you just provide these things? What languages is written in? JavaScript, I guess. One thing that is definitely very popular also is Vue.js, if you don't know about it. So maybe you want to also check this out. But I'm really not the right person to ask for web development. I would probably just go for Swift for web development as well, because I just love Swift so much. Okay, did appear, and we want to access the database, and we have access to the environment's managed object context in here. And let's also check the change the module here to our app entry point, so we can actually build this and get proper code formatting, managed object context. And we want to basically read something from here. And basically for reading data from core data, we have to create a fetch request. So ns fetch request, and the fetch request. I think we can get a fetch request from the models by now from car data. Yes, I know Vue very well, but since most of the industry is in React, I am trying to improve myself in that direction. Okay, sure, yeah. As I said, I can't really give much input there, what's the right thing to do. But there's definitely a lot of movement there all the time. And you never know what's right and what's not. And it really depends on your situation, I guess. So we have our model that we want to get something from, which is the focus timer. And this has a fetch request. This is like a convenience method we can use, and it provides us an ns fetch request that fetches for a focus timer already. And then this is the fetch request. That's actually, I think we don't have to make a variable. And we want to fetch app entry point reducer. So when we open the app, basically what we want to get from here on the did appear is when we open the app, we want to actually initialize and see if there is a running timer right now. So that's what I'm trying to do here, is I want to see if there is a current focus timer that we need to pass on here in the view. And that's basically what we're trying to figure out here. And this is the current focus timer we want to set. So the goal of this reducer is to set like state.current focus timer equals, and then the first focus timer if there is currently a running one. And that's what the request is about. So fetch request, and we want to basically, let's have a look at the core data model. So if there is a timer that doesn't have an ended at date yet, I think that's when timer is currently still running. So we want to add some predicate here. Let's use this style, and then we just say the field name. Oops, the field name, let's just copy that to be sure, ended at. Music is off. Why is that? Let me check. Okay. It was just a weird song with some silence in it. EasyFab, your thoughts about UIKit? I decided to learn UIKit after 3 months of SwiftUI. It's not that bad, but definitely more confusing than SwiftUI. There is UIKit internships available near my area, so that's why reasoning. I totally understand that. I think most companies are probably still searching for iOS developers who also know UIKit. And the main reason for that is, or two reasons for that is, first, today, still, even if you use SwiftUI and you try to stay 100% SwiftUI, what we recognized last time actually in the stream, and this color extension we wrote, this is a test for it. Let's go back to the extension itself. It was in here. When we wrote this, you see we are actually importing AppKit and UIKit, and the reason for that is that we weren't able to get from the color type in SwiftUI the RGB values. Maybe it is possible, but I couldn't figure it out. Like for an hour I tried to do this and I couldn't figure out how. And so you can see there are still things where you just have to go back to UIKit and AppKit, and we just solved it by turning the color, wrapping it, and turning it into a UI color. I think we're doing it right here. You can see we're creating a UI color and just passing on self, and without this we wouldn't be able to access the RGB value. So there are always situations where you still need to know UIKit, and that's why the first reason why I think you will need some knowledge of UIKit. And the second is that many companies already have apps developed, and SwiftUI is just getting like more mature with version 3 now. And most apps out there, and also in companies, most apps are written still with UIKit. So if you want to help them and fix a bug there or improve something, obviously they will expect you to know some UIKit. That's why I think it will make sense probably even in the next 2 or 3 years to also learn UIKit. I don't think there is any way out there until like at least 5 or 6 years have passed since SwiftUI is like mature enough. I think then is the point where actually SwiftUI starters would be able to like, really get any job they want, because most people will say like a UI kit is nice to have, but not really needed anymore, like it is today with Objective-C. Like a SwiftUI kit just Swift just came out in 2014. And you can actually check, by now everybody's just searching for Swift. They don't really care about Objective-C anymore, but you will still see some places who say like Objective-C is something that will be really nice. And from seniors, probably they actually expect still Objective-C, because same thing there is still a lot of apps written in Objective-C, and you need to understand it at least. So, and Objective-C is just like, I think last year or something like that, most people started dropping Objective-C as a requirement. So it took 7 years overall, and SwiftUI came out in 2017, I believe, or 18 or 19, I'm not sure, 18 I think. So it's just a few years, 19, okay. So we have 3 years now, so if you judge by Swift, 4 years to go until it's fully SwiftUI. I thought I'd take a look at the panel section and learned that Turkish is your mother tongue, so I know Turkish. Yeah, I was guessing that due to your name, Batu Lambu, basically. Yeah, I know Turkish as well. It's not the language I speak most, it's actually German, because I live in Germany. But I do speak Turkish as well, because my grandparents came from Turkey, and obviously I learned Turkish in my family. So I'm doing right thing learning UIKit, since my main goal to be land a job in industry. Absolutely. Without UIKit, like if you say you don't know anything about UIKit, that's always going to be a big minus. If you say like, I understand UIKit, I can deal with it some kind, but I don't write entirely new UIs in it, I think that's the space which is going to be still acceptable for many. You just have to also be, like, I think you should be, like in your mind, you should be okay with learning new UIKit stuff, because you will also need to figure out and work on new stuff on UIKit as well. But you should just say like your focus is SwiftUI. I think most people are still hiring, are actually hiring for people focused on SwiftUI, because they know it's the future. Amazing, tanıştığıma memnun oldum. Ben de. So glad to meet you basically. Yeah, glad to meet you as well. Yeah, I hope it helps, Izifip. Okay, let's get back to our issue here. And it's predicate. So we're writing a predicate and we just copied the ended at equals, and I just have to always look up the core data predicate just to make sure I'm not creating bugs here. So core, or let's go for NS predicate cheat sheet. It's also learning for anyone watching this as a starter. Even if you're really experienced, and I have like a decade of iOS development experience, you don't always know all API details up of your head. You don't memorize everything you don't use every day, and I don't use core data every day. So I have to look it up just to be sure. So 2 equals, that's already something I learned here. And otherwise it looks nice. Or it says actually 1 or 2, left-hand expression is equal to right-hand. Okay, 1 would work as well, but let's go for true, if it's like the best cases. So, and then we provide the value as an object. Or actually, we're just trying to say if it's nil. Is there like nil here? Yeah, we can just say nil. So we want the ended at to be not equal to nil. If it's not nil, and then we don't need any arguments, then I think our focus timer is a running one. And we also just need the latest one, so let's also sort that. Or what happens actually if we have multiple? If we have multiple, we should probably at least provide a warning for the developer, so the developer, while development, we recognize that. So if, or maybe that's an actual request, a new request. Yeah, we can do that later. Let's order first. So we want to get the latest one. Fetch request, and we can provide sort descriptors as well. It's an array with n sort descriptor. And let's go with the key one, and we want to sort by probably start that. Start it, and let's also copy that. I don't want to have any typos. I'm really looking forward for a replacement for core data officially by Apple. And I'm also already considering switching over to GRDB, which seems to be a really, really nice library. I've always put an eye on it, but I haven't used it yet. So it allows you to write code like this, which I find really readable. And also you can like provide codables and it just supports storing them. So it's something I want to try out sometime in the future. But for now, started at. So sort by started at, and we want to get the one that was started last. So we're making it not ascending, getting bigger, but descending, because we want to get the first elements. Ascending, false. So it's descending. And last but not least, when we fetch it, we want to limit it to 1, but I think that's not part of the fetch request. So let's make that fetch. And for that, we need the manage object context. And then we call into, what is it called? Count for request, elements. Perform? Yeah, perform it was. Perform request. Okay, wait. Do we call it on the request? I don't remember. Fetch request, perform. Perform, and then I want to provide the context. How was this? Core data, basics. Let's read the document for beginners. We have this already. How can we make a request? Core data. Let's just have a look at the officials. Creating model. So reading documentation is really around 50% of my work time usually. Like in this stream, I'm trying to not do too many things that I don't know yet, so we can actually make progress each time. But like reading documentation, like I haven't used core data for at least a year or something. And so I have to look it up again. I mean, the good thing is I remember quickly, and it's just a detailed name that I'm looking for. Come on, NS fetch request. Maybe it's documented on that. Or if the chat just wants to help me, feel free to tell me how I get that done. So it's the fetch call. Is it just fetch? Nope. Is it the fetch here? Ah, there we go. That was the name I was missing. So NS managed object, we want to fetch with this request. Oops. The fetch request that we have built, and this gives us the so we can see from the type. Okay, it's not showing anymore with the let. You can see NS fetch request result. So we have results. Cool. Now we should have the results here, and probably have to put a try here. So this is throwing, and as this is throwing, it's not a good idea to keep it here without a do catch. So we might extract this actually somewhere else, but for now, let's keep it here. And if there is a catch, let's just fatal error for now. We will fix it later. Handle error later, and we will actually fix it later. Let me actually create a warning message as well. Not yet implemented. Then we have the results, and basically this is our goal. Current focus timer. We want to get the first element here. Actually, maybe we don't have to fetch them all. Can we say first here? First, no. First. Okay, can we limit somehow? Fetch request. Fetch limit. Okay, we could provide a limit here, but I actually don't want to do that because I want to, for now, I want to see if I have multiple matches, because then we did something wrong, because we should never have multiple running timers. So I'm going to keep that without limit. I'm just calling into first here, and we can also just call this the running focus timer. Or do we call current focus timer? I think it's the running one. Running focus timer. And at the same time, I want to have that warning. So let's actually store that. Let running focus timers. And then we just say if running focus timers dot count more than one. Then I'm this is for me an error, so I'm going to make this an assert. Actually, we could write an assert right away. So this condition we could just write here. Assert that this is below 1. Otherwise, we can just add a message here, which is there should never be multiple running timers in the database. So this assert makes sure that it's never run when I release the app actually, but if I run it as a debug build, so I'm developing, it will actually make the app crash here. And I think I can make it continue from there. I'm not sure about that, but it's something that should never happen. So it should, for us developer, it should actually be really loud and saying like, hey, this is something serious, you need to have a look at that. And that's why I think crashing here makes sense. So we can fix the bug right away before we ship it. And now we have the running focus timer, which is the first object, and we can actually just store that into the state right away. So current focus timer is the running focus timers. Actually, I have a typo there. Running focus timers dot first. And if there is none, then this is going to be nil. So this is exactly what we want. And I have to add the try here. And this might work now. Let's actually delete this stuff. Let's see what happens if I try to build. It's building with our not yet implemented warning, which is showing in the wrong place. Oh, actually we deleted that, so it's just not cleaning properly, but we have an error. It says can't find running focus timers. Yeah, we renamed it. Build again. It's building. Cool. Let's try out in the app actually if that already makes everything work, because we have theoretically we have this here, and in our view we are passing it on, so maybe it will already work when we restart the app. So let's actually try to run the app. Let's go for the iOS app this time, just so viewers can see we're actually developing an iOS app here. Let's set iOS for iPhone 13 as the target, and now I'm building. So simulator is starting. And show timer feature. And counting down. Let's stop. Let me close the app now. I will just press the stop icon here. I will rebuild. Okay, this didn't work. I expected this to be at 3 seconds now, so I'm not sure if we're already done, but this part is implemented now. Let's see if we're storing the data correctly. Let's go to our timer reducer. Actually, to our timer view. Okay, nothing in here. The timer store is getting past the focus timer, and it's using its running state, time left, etc. And we have the timer reducer. Was it creating a new timer? No, I don't think so. I think it's just using the past timer. It is creating a new timer. When we click start button press, this is the issue. So this is not properly implemented, and we do have a warning here, not yet implemented. So basically what we're doing is each time the user presses the start button, we're creating a new focus timer. And I think we did find a way to also have a look into the database, so we can see the database. I think we have to run the Mac application for that. Otherwise, it's hard to get access to. Or maybe iOS simulator works too. But we have basically here with the options that we found online. So if we go to edit scheme, this is the arguments that you need to add. And with those arguments added, you get the path to the SQL file. And we can just go to terminal, open that SQL file, or the enclosing parent path. It seems not to be, well, what's the problem here? Open. Doesn't exist. Oh, this is wrong. Well, what's the problem? Ah, it was having white spaces in paths. I hate them. Now it should work. There we go. This is the SQL file. So this is our database, this is the data, and we are creating focus timers here. So we have 3 of them, and if I open the app again, each time I click start, new one, new one. As you can see, this is the bug, and that's also why it's not working with the new app start. So let's kind of fix that. So when we click the start button pressed, it should actually only create a new timer if there is currently no timer already in the state. So we do want to have this logic somehow to create a new timer, and this makes sense. The now producer makes sense from the environment. Yeah, categories set to nothing for now is fine too. I mean, that's not complete implementation. We want to provide some way to provide categories. Let's just stick with this for now. Placeholder topic also for now. Last used time left. This is just the amount of time we want to have as a default. We have to extract that, and we have a warning weather for that. That's fine. So this is nice, and saving it right away makes also sense the way we structured our database. So we just want to put this into an if state.current running focus timer is nil. Only then we want to create a new one. And we also want to set this focus timer then as the current focus timer. I'm not sure why we're not doing that, but let's do it here. So state dot current focus timer equals focus timer. Okay, this should start only a new one if there isn't one already. Let's see the rest too. This is just a cleanup task. Stop button pressed, forwards to stop timer requested. Then we are, oh, is there a start timer requested? Not really. Stop timer requested is calling timer is running. Oh, is setting it to false. We don't want to set the timer is running to false anymore, because actually all these things are now written in this focus timer. So we can actually replace some of these variables that we set manually with computed properties. So let's see what fields we can basically extract everything from it. I think we don't need any of these anymore as stored properties. Instead, we are making them computed now, because we can get their actual contents from the current focus timer, which is the only stored property we need now. And this is a static property anyway. So timer is running. We can see here how this is getting created. So timer is running is current focus timer is running. And if there is no focus timer, obviously there is no timer running right now. Next, time left is the time left of the focus timer, current focus timer, dot time left. And if there is no focus timer running right now, yeah, the last used time is the time left, which is the default that we reset back to. And show time is up alert. We want to show the time is up alert whenever the timer just ran out. So I think that's actually something we need to keep. That's not something we can provide, because this is related to the view, not the focus timer data. So that's that. And that means we no longer need to provide these two. We just set the current focus timer and the last used time left. The show time is up alert is set to false automatically. And this is set to time left. Why is it set to time left? Doesn't make sense, to be honest. I will just delete this. We will provide the real logic here later. It's a concentration plus. Remember that logic and remember last time logic. We want to remember what the user provided last time. Current focus timer. There we go. This is now the timer store. Let's get to the timer feature. Let's try to build and just see if everything is running. It shouldn't. There we go. It's not running. So timer is running is set to true. At the beginning is no longer needed, because timer is running is automatically calculated in the, let's go to this timer store. Timer is running is automatically calculated via the current focus timer, and we are setting current focus timer here. So when there is no focus timer, we create one, set the focus timer, and therefore this gets automatically the state of this to true. But if we're if we already have one, so we started the app, we loaded the current focus timer, or we have like counted down and clicked the stop button, we actually want to make it run again. In order to do that, we have to implement the else state. And the else case, let's see how the logic is right now. So, there's just a running field on this. We just set that to true. And actually, this is an optional, this is not great, but we could just turn that around. Instead of saying if this is nil, we just say if let current focus timer is basically available. So we can move this whole code to the else case and the previous else code into here. And now we can basically say current focus timer running true. The question is this actually an object? Current focus timer, is this a class? Focus timer, yeah, this is created by core data, so it is a class and therefore it is a reference object, and therefore if we do this, no problems with changing the actual data. Cool, no longer needed. This is still holding true. Then we are setting the timer is running to false here. Instead, we want to just set state.current focus timer.running to false. And also we do have current focus timer. We have nothing changed here, but we have something changed here. And the thing we have changed here, we want to save that of course as well. So we have this try save. We actually want to do that here as well. And because this object is created in that managed object context, it should recognize that we have made adjustments to it, and it should automatically make it all work. So we are changing here, we are creating one here. And actually there's no need for doing this. We can just put it right here because we're not doing anything else with it. And so this reads really nicely in my opinion. This is saving, and we need this save call elsewhere too, which is when we make the change here. Timer is running, okay. State time left, same here. So we want to do basically a counter. So if state of time left is above 0, then it basically, okay, the action is timer ticked. So the timer, so 1 second has passed. When 1 second has passed, we're saying unless the timer left is above 0. So if that is above 0, we just say stop time, guard that it is above 0. So here it is above 0. So this is meaning that it's 0 or less. If it's 0 or less, then it stops the timer and says the time is up. Okay, that is being handled. And now what we want to do is if the timer is ticked and it's above 0, we want to count it down. And counting it down is now done by calling it to state.current focus timer. And then the time left here is also, I believe, a computer property, so we can't just change that. Instead, it's like we have a running duration and we have a timer run out duration. And if we're currently running, we want to just count that up. And the running duration is actually running duration in seconds, running duration. There you go. And I think we want to count it out by 1, and because we have a different representation on the core data layer than we have here, which is via convenience, just using a time interval. I actually want to create a function that does the counting up for us. So, and it should be public because we want to access it. So I want to just tell it that it should, how do we call it here? Timer ticked. I want to call it count. Do we want to count it up by 1 second exactly? Or do we want to store the last time it happened? Let's just go for the simple solution here. We can still fix it later. So I just say timer ticked, or let's just call it tick. Running timer tick. And basically when we call this, let's also document it. but the tick, I think we should be more specific here. Hey, wish you a productive stream. Welcome to the stream, Samigun. How are you doing? How's your day? How was your work? Running timer. So we want to document that this, let's change the name first. This is running timer. Basically want to add something to the running timer. So it is called running duration. Running duration, add to running duration. Add to, I don't know the best name for now. I will just go with that. Add to running duration, time interval. It's always easy to refactor later, but I think this is easy enough to understand. And this is also obvious, so no need for documentation. Let's implement it though. So self.running duration, and then I think it's in seconds, right? We want to add to that the time interval, and we calculated it here already by calling into handy Swift, which converts the time interval we have. This is the other way around though. So we have a time interval this time, running a time interval. And we want to convert that, which is a time interval, into an int 32. I think that's basically it, but just to make it more explicit, let's go to seconds. Properties defined on time interval, but this is a time interval, so this should work. Time interval. Did I mistype something? Looks like it. Okay. Now we can say the current focus timer, just add running duration. This should actually be available here now. Add running duration. There we go. And we just add seconds 1. So that's that. Then we have timer reset requested. So whenever we want to reset the timer, we can actually do that, but just, oh fine, it's weekend now. True, yeah, have a nice weekend. Friday is always the best day to come home from work. State time left. Do we have to actually do something here, like saving? Yeah, we have to save. So we can already see there is something maybe we should work on later, which is making sure that it's always saved on all steps. Maybe we can make that easier, but for now this should be fine. Actually, let's save before we update the state. I find that more correct. Do we do that everywhere? No, not really. And it doesn't make sense. We have to first update the state, otherwise the model isn't changed. What happens if this is empty here actually? This is, I think, a bug, right? If the timer ticks while there is no current running focus timer, there is a bug. So let's also assert this. State.current focus timer, but I'm just asserting without making this crash, so I'm keeping the optional there. And if this is nil, then there should be no running timer when the current focus timer is nil. So this is basically a bug that should never happen. Maybe we can prevent this from happening later, but for now I will just go with that assertion, so at least we are informed whenever we run into this situation, which should never happen. Timer reset requested. State.timeleft, timer state.last use time left. So we want to just to be reset, and for it to happen, I think we just need to clean out the timer. So we just say current focus timer equals nil. Are we storing the end of the timer actually? So time is up. What happens? Okay, I think everything is not working yet. So start button press. I expect on the model layer, when the start button is pressed, to either a new to be created or the running state to be set to true. Both is happening. And in this case, the running state should be false. When I create a new one, is it false? Running state, it's actually true, which makes sense. It should be true, of course. Yes. When the start button is pressed, the should be set to running. Cool. But what if it was paused before? Then we want to also on this level we want to also count out the pauses count. Let's do that. So we say if like current focus timer, then current focus timer. If current focus timer's running state is actually currently set to false, so it's not running, then we want the current focus timer pauses count to be counted 1 up. Then the pause is ended. Or should we actually already count the pause when the pause is started? I think that makes more sense. Let's move this away here. Pause button, is there like, okay, when we stop, we basically pause. Okay, so we don't have real stop, we have only timer up. Timer up means that it's actually done and everything else, so we can't cancel the timer. Maybe that's something we need to add here as an action. So we are able to not only wait until the timer is up or stop, we can also say like complete the timer or cancel the timer. I think like it's like finishing early, but that's like a cancel of the timer. We can still store the timer. So how will we call a cancel of timer that we still want to store and not forget about? It's like cancel session, stop session. I think the actual action we do here is a pause, not a stop. Yes, I think this is actually a pause. So we have to do some refactoring here. Let me just write a comment. We'll do that later. So rename stop to pause and provide a new actual stop button for canceling out early. So that's something we can add later. But for now, so this is the pause action, and maybe we can actually refactor it. So stop timer requested, pause timer requested is actually true, and we have stop button pressed. Let's rename that, which is pause button pressed. Let's also call it pause. We called it stop. There we go. It's called stop, and yeah, let's call it pause. This doesn't look like it's translated. I thought we had localized this already. Where's the localization? Yes, we have localized it. So time is up, time left. Okay, we didn't localize these buttons yet. Let's do that quickly. Body crouch, translate, and we are in the timer feature. So let's look up the. Do we have an? Yeah, we have it here. Timer. So we call it timer. Timer dot. What's our? Okay. It's a lower snake case. Timer dot. We are in the actions. I think it's just action dot. In this case, it's just paused. And the translation in English is pause. And the German one in this case actually is also pause. No comment provided. Let's do the same with start as well. Start, and I think here also both are start. Cool, that's built. And I think it's not automatically replacing. We have to run body crouch manually for now. So let's get into, okay, let's actually open it newly from here in the right place. And run body crouch update. So it's replaced now by the L10N call. And in normal projects without this package set up, it actually works as a build script, but we haven't figured out how to do that with packages here. And we will figure that out at some point in the future. But this is rename done here as well. Where else do we have start, stop, pause, timer ticked, time is up. Okay, stop action we will add later. Pause timer request, let's build. It says this is missing. Why is it missing? Let's go to localizables. It's there. And SwiftGen we have to run as well. SwiftGen. Now it should be building. I mean, this would be done via our pre-commit hook, so we wouldn't forget it. But I just wanted to have it right away. And now it's building too. And let's get back out to our logic. So we have the start button pressed. This is, I think, implemented. The pause button press. When we pause, we definitely want the current focus state, the current focus timers. So I'm thinking about maybe, I don't really want to make many logic calls here in the focus timer, maybe extracting that logic to the focus timer right away. So we have an extension here, and we could even do the save here automatically. But maybe that's something you want to control still. That's a good question. Anyhow, if we create it with a managed object context, we could hold on to it, and then we could just call save. That's definitely something we can do. And we could actually do this on all managed object contexts. So let's create a helper extension here, which is an extension to, I need to import core data, and let's also rename this to NS managed object extension on NS managed object context. Oh no, just managed object. And then what we want to have is first an initializer that accepts a managed object context. Actually, let's just call it context. And we can't really provide a new property here. That's why we can't add a property. Okay, so maybe we have to keep that. Okay. I remember I have like wrote a save method or something like that. That was always automatically working on the NS manager. But yeah, save is not the problem anyways. Let's just move the logic here. So one logic basically is to, when the timer is started, it basically gets into the start state, right? So what I want to do is have a method that just pauses the timer, pause timer. Then we want to have a method that we don't have, maybe we want to have a method that just ticks. Or add to running duration. Does that make sense? Timer has ticked. Let's just call it tick. And it's basically this with 1 second. We can still see if we need different one here. So this is just seconds, just add 1. Do we actually have pause time as well? We have running duration in seconds. We have timer runout duration in seconds, so the total time. But we don't have the pause, and we don't need the pause because that's just running. Okay, so pause timer needs to be implemented. Continue timer. But continue timer doesn't really do anything. It's just a tick. We tick, then we are in running state, right? And the pause timer, what does it do? It sets the running state to false. Pause count, yeah, it counts the pause count up. And we also have complete. So when the timer is up, we want to call complete the focus timer. In this case, the running is false. The ended at is set to the now date, so we have to pass it the now date as well. And let's just call it now. Or how do we call it elsewhere? Let's make it consistent. I think we have it in the environment somewhere. The now date producer, now date producer. Now date producer, yeah, let's just keep it with now. So we pass it the date and we just call into now. So we don't have to use it in our app, but in our test, so we can override the now date. So we can test this self ended at now. We don't need to change the pause count when we end. We don't need to change timer runout duration in seconds. It's staying the same, but basically running duration in seconds is now the same as timer runout duration in seconds. Or should be the same. But that should be done by tick. Maybe the tick logic actually should have this in itself. So we basically say tick, and if self.timer runout durations, or let's say if self.running duration in seconds is greater or equal the timer runout duration, so the overall time that we want to run here, then it should automatically complete. So we have to pass on the thing here. Cannot be compared between an int32 and time interval. Oh yeah, let's use the seconds here as well. Run duration in seconds. Cool. Now we want to also get informed when the completion has happened. Or do we? Maybe we just need to complete it. Public or completed. Cool. So we can check on the reducer and react on it. So it's completed when self.running. Also we have to change that. So tick running duration seconds. If we complete, it's setting to false, and end date. So it's completed when basically self.ended at is not nil. And this is completing. This is just cleaning up. Running duration in seconds, pause count. Categories, started at, focus topic, so started app should never be changed, and it's set here on start. Okay, so this could also have a default value set to now. I think that's quite useful. Could be useful. Let's not default it. Maybe we should not default anything here. Ended at maybe we should be defaulting. I don't know. Actually, we could default it to now. Let's see what happens. So categories, focus topic. We started at defaulted. The duration also doesn't have a default. Running. Maybe running shouldn't have a default. Maybe we might want to create focus timers later on, but doesn't make really sense because then it's just log entry. Maybe the log entry is different from the timer. We're getting into complicated things. Let's try to keep it simple. Let me not change anything here. We can change it if we need it. Okay, let's just focus on this part. Add to running duration. Why did we remove the code here? We removed it down here. We just renamed it to tick. That's true. Now things will not build again because this is no longer available. Instead, we just want to call self.current focus timer. Now state.current focus timer. Tick. When the pause button is pressed, we just call pause timer. We could actually just call it pause because it's a timer already. No need to call it pause timer. Pause, and we call into env.manage object context.save. Then here, when the pause timer requested, pause button pressed, pause timer requested, we actually just want to pause here. Current focus timer pause. Okay, timer ticked. We just tick. State.timeLeft greater 0. This is logic now that we might have moved away. Pause timer. I think this is basically we have to tick first. And the assertion also, you can check for that first. So we are ticking first, and then when we have ticked, basically what we want to know here is if the if the timer is up. In this case, pause timer is requested is not really needed. Step basically this is making pause, but we have that logic now in our model. Instead, we just say state.current focus timer. Actually, we can get rid of this by just saying current focus timer is expected to not be nil. Else, and then we could just say fatal warning here, fatal error. And there should be no running timer when the current focus timer is nil. This is a state that we should never be in. So let's make the app actually crash there. Guard state current focus timer. So we're ticking, and then we just say if current focus timer completed. So if it's completed, we just say timer is up. Return init with value time is up. There goes our logic simplification. When we call time is up, we just set up some alert. Actually, we could also just call this here right away. Is there other places where we call time is up? Nope. So we could actually just say here, set time is up alert presented to true. And we don't need this case. And we can also remove it from here. Because we have moved away some of our logic now, things are getting simpler here. Timer reset requested. Do we need this? So when time is up, timer tick. I think if this is completed, we could just say state.current focus timer is nil. If it's completed, yeah. Then we don't need timer reset requested, or is it called somewhere else? Oh, we're just calling it after the user has clicked cancel or OK or something like that on the alert. So we are keeping it, and we're not resetting it before the user has confirmed that the user is done. Kind of makes sense. So we're not doing it here yet. But we could actually set the current focus. Yeah, let's just keep it. If the user clicks cancel, can the user click cancel? Not really. Let's keep it like this. There's multiple ways to do this, and I might figure out over time which is the best way. But for now, let's just make a working way. So start button pressed is this is also setting timers and things like that. I think we should rather just create a focus timer if this is the case, and otherwise just say state.currentFocusTimer dot empty. There is no continue right now, so we're just setting running to true. Okay, the actual logic lies in this effect. So we're setting running to true. Maybe the focus timer, yeah, we're setting it to make sense. And I think we can do it here actually. State.current focus timer is true, and we just say if the current focus timer is equal nil. We could also just go to timer reset requested and just set up a timer here and also on did appear. So we always have a timer when we're in here. Or we could actually go so far to say that the state always has to have a timer. So it has to be non-nil. Timer state, current focus timer. So we always have a timer. Either it's a new one or an existing one. Cannot use the optional chaining. Yes. Let's do it like this. I find that a little bit more beautiful, so to say. So now we don't need to check for nil anymore. Instead, it's being created somewhere else, and where that we will clarify. So let me copy this. But no need anymore, and we click the start timer. We just set it to be running. Then no need for the optional here. No need for this here. I'm going to call into state. This is also no longer needed. Instead, we could like set a new timer here. We could create a new one. And let's set a warning, because we still have replace categories and placeholder with user entered data. No longer needed. To force unwrap here. What else is failing? And this is now required to be non-nil. Can we somehow create something nice here as well? So we have created something nice for the mocked environment, just for the previews, and I believe this is inside. Let me just command click here. Okay, it's not finding it. So it's here in our utility, and this is because we wanted to use the environment in multiple places, multiple features. But we basically need it only if we have access also to the model, because this is part of the model. So let's actually create here I think we can do it right here. Let's make an if debug. And the idea is I want to create a extension to the focus timer, where I can just call into a static mocked and just get a new timer. And this could be like, or let's go for our minimal timer with the defaults. And now we have to provide a managed object context, though. This can be hard to, okay, how can we, maybe, do we have a managed object context there? Nope. Can we mock that as well? Can we select manage object context? Let's create a mocked one or something. was deprecated use with int with concurrency type. Main queue, private queue. Let's try going with that. Let me clean this up a little bit so it's more readable. Okay, started at, let's just go for now. Categories, empty, focus topic, Swift development, Swift programming, timer run out duration, 25 minutes. So we have a mocked one here now. It's only available in a debug mode. And is it public? No, I have to make it public. Now we should be able to just call into mocked here. See if it builds now. There we go. Nice. Let's run our feature. Our app, I mean. Another error. Okay. Okay, our current focus timer that we're passing on from here is optional, and it just tells me that it has to be non-optional. And we could create one here in the case that it was optional. In the app entry point though, so we are creating an initial state for, okay, so it has to be non-optional. We could also go into the timer store and just create a default one here if this is nil. So either this is getting passed one that is from the database, or we just create a new one here. I think that kind of makes sense. Let's document it though. So let's generate the documentation. Let's make this optional. Add documentation. And the parameter is pass the running focus. Let's call it running focus timer then. Running focus timer. It's different from current focus timer. Pass a running focus timer. A not finished focus timer from a previous app session can be passed here. If nil, a new one is created. Are we putting too much logic in here? We might actually want to not have look up the environment object, but we have access to it. Yeah, okay, yeah, I think it's fine. I was thinking maybe we have the current focus timer. We want to pass one, like the default one that we create at the start, into this as well, and not create it in here. But I think we can create it in here, but maybe not here, more like in the reducer, but then we have to make this optional. Oh, hello, welcome to the stream. OX Rohit. Ox Rohit, I don't know how to speak your name, but welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Hope you're enjoying your Friday. Current focus timer, yeah, this is getting kind of complicated, so I will keep it simple again. I can just still refactor things out later, so I will not make it complicated default. I will just create the default one here. So I'm just going if let running focus timer, and there's a typo here. If let running focus timer, if we have one, then we just use it as the current one. Else, we're just creating our own. In this case, I'm going to just call the init method. We need a context now. That's a problem. We can't create one without the context. Do we really need the context in there? Why do we need the context? Or what do we need it for? I don't see why we need it. Yeah, I don't think we need it. I will remove the context. I don't know why we passed it there. We're not storing it, we're not doing anything with it. Ah, we have to pass it on. Ah, that's why. But it's only needed on creation. So do we have access to the context on the store? We don't. And that's actually on purpose. So we shouldn't do anything where we need access to the environment in the focus timer here on the state level. Instead, it should be done in the reducer where we have the logic. So it's actually probably a good thing that we pass this in here from the outside as a full object. So we just keep this code simple then, and it doesn't have to be running. It can be just the current focus timer. Actually, we could just call it focus timer, but yeah, current is fine. Yeah, a lot of refactoring and rethinking here. Where's the issue now? Now we have to pass it here. Okay, we have to create it here. Also makes sense because here we have access to the environment, or we don't yet, but we have to make the stores focus timer here. It's nil, and it should be non-nil after did appear. Okay, it's kind of complicated. How can we pass on the initial one? We need access to the environment for that. We only have access to the environment in our reducer, but our reducer only gets called after our view is presented, so it is nil at the beginning. Maybe we have to pass it in here as well from a global context. Or should it be nil at the beginning? Okay, this is a kind of quick way to open the view anyways, so we should probably just make this proper. So I will just say something like for show focus timer, it's a boolean, it's false at the beginning, and then we just delete this. And we just make it show the focus timer after did appear has been called. So we just go to did appear, we just say state.show focus timer is set to true. And then this is where we're calling for the one. And here we're setting it if we find it. And this logic here, or alternatively creating one. That's something we need to do here now. So we are calling into it and checking if there is one and setting it if yes. And if we come here, basically we can check if state.current focus timer. We don't have it. We actually want to show the timer view from in here. Show focus timer is true. Let's go to the view first. So if show focus timer is true, now we can use a feature again from the composable architecture, which has this way of making it optional to how you, if you want to show. Let's actually have a look at this. Let's go to the composable architecture so we can see an example and just learn from that. Let me just download this again. So in this architecture, we want to see how you can show something with an optional. And we want to do it in SwiftUI. So I'm going here into getting started, and here we're just going into optional state. So we have, let's look at the view. We have if let store, and if let store gets past the store with an optional counter here. Okay, so that's basically what we need here. If let store, and it requires if and then. This for this we need to pass the store, which is self.store scope, and we're scoping by an action. So our store actually needs a new action, which is any kind of timer action. You could also just call it timer because we have the action label here already. So we have the timer at action case. Now we can say from the app entry point state, we're getting into the local state by, let's go back to the examples, just saying optional counter, and they're passing it like this, timer. This optional counter is referencing to, okay, this is state, of course, I'm in the wrong place. So this is the action, and we also have the timer state. And this is an optional, so we can create it here. This is timer state. And the then is the interesting part, where if we go back here, so in the then, they are basically getting past the store, and then they're providing the view for it. But our view has its own view already, so what we can do here is, let's go for then again. Store, we can basically say the timer view dot init, and you can see the timer view gets a store already passed. So we could do this, but we can also make it shorter by just saying then timer view dot init, and it will automatically pass down the variable like this. And there's something wrong here. As expected, argument timer state app entry point action. We have to change the action as well. So there's something missing here. That's the action. So how do we map the action? And now we get the local action, and we have to point it to the other action. And in that case, we're calling into, let's just do it like this, timer. This is the app entry point action dot timer dot and backslash. Timer action has no memory. Okay, wait a second. I need a different example here. Navigation list. If flat store. So we're scoping. We're going through the selection, and then we're just giving as the action a load, and then this navigation counter. This is exactly what we're doing. It's definitely missing the store call here. And let's build again. And we're building the wrong thing. We just need the app entry point. Okay. Timer action has an app entry point action. Why is it expecting an app entry point? This is timer state. It's scoping the state. And the timer view also just expects a timer action. There we go. It's just a type mismatch. And now we are basically showing that timer view, and we're passing on to it the state that we have in our state. And it will show only if the state is not new. This is the magic in the composable architecture. I believe this all we don't need anymore. Let's build. It's failing. So the logic is not complete anymore, and we have to make sure that it is complete. So we now have the new timer action and the timer state. So when it appears, we want to show the focus timer, and for that we actually don't need to show focus timer. we just need to provide a state, and we just say state.timerState. Now we initialize the state here, and in here we do have access to the environment, and that's why we all did all this. So now we can create a focus timer, and let's create it before, or let's again fetch it. That's what we're doing. So this thing we need to do at the end. Over here, and we do have the focus timer either here or in the else case. So we basically could say var focus timer or a current focus timer, and we just set it here if we find one in the database that is currently running. And let's see if we're filtering the right way. We are seeing ended at is not equal nil, and then so that makes sense. And but then we say basically if the current focus timer is nil, we just set it to something else, and that's the new one we're creating. So now we have access to the environment. Let's clean this up. And the context is env.managedObjectContext. The started at date is env.nowDateProducer. Call the categories, we keep it empty for now. Focus topic, apps, placeholder topic, and time interval for the runout. Let's use something that we have. We do have a default somewhere, right? I think it's a focus timer itself, or is it? What is 5 seconds we have used somewhere. There you go, last used time left. This is actually not true. Let's actually extract this now. Time left to view, and that this comment we can keep. Actually, let's just copy this all. Now we can we can add it to the utility. I think it makes sense to add it here, or we just add it to the focus timer. Maybe it makes sense to have it here as well. So the time left the user provided on using the timer the last time. Yeah, not really true. Default focus timer length on, yeah, just the default focus timer length. Default timer runout duration. Default timer runout duration. And then we can go for 5 seconds here, but that's just for debug. And we could actually, yeah, let's just do it with debug mode. So we have if debug, then we set it to 5 seconds, and else if else, and if we set it to 25 minutes, which is like a Pomodoro timer. So for testing purposes, we want to make it pass quickly. Cool. Now, that needs to be public. It is public. Now we can access that in here, and we could just say focus timer dot default timer runout duration. Let's just not forget to add a warning to use the user's last used runout duration instead of the default. So that's a feature we want to add. But for now, we're just using the default, and likewise ask for categories and focus topic. So if this is nil, we're setting something, and then we are sure that this is actually not nil, and we can just say self the timer and then current focus timer. That's a lot of code here. And we still have a build error. So it must be exhaustive. So we are missing a case here, which is the timer action. And the timer action is, we could react to the timer actions on the app into entry reducer level. But for now, I'm just going to not do that. So I'm just going to say handled by the child reducer. And we just break here, or we just don't do anything. I think we have to break here. There we go. Okay, another build error in timer reducer this time. It's saying timers. Okay, this last use is no longer available, but we have the default. Oh, this is the wrong thing. So this is focus timer.d. We see we are referencing the same things in the two places. Maybe that's already assigned to extract that out. So we're doing it here, and we're doing it here as well. Is there anything we can do about that? For now, I will keep it, but maybe later we will fix that. Okay, let's build again. Now the build is passing, and let's see what our app works like now. So we can see already that we have now passed this timer into this sidebar view. So maybe we can just close the sidebar feature or remove it entirely from the app, because we don't really need that. Saying window group, it's calling into the app entry point view, which automatically, I believe, creates a side thing here. But we do, I think we have a navigation view somewhere. Navigation view. It's in the entry point, and this navigation view, we have to provide the navigation view style, and we have automatic or columns. What happens if we call columns? Still the same thing. Wasn't there navigation view style, default navigation view style, double column? Okay. macOS remove sidebar SwiftUI. How to show and hide sidebar. Disable sidebar, that's what we're looking for. So stack navigation view style, that was what I was looking for. There's stack. Is unavailable on macOS. Okay. So yeah, let's keep it then. We'll figure that out later, but on iOS it should be working anyways. Let's see if our logic is true. So it is directly in the started state, which is not what we want. So it's showing the pause button, which is incorrect. We already have a timer feature. Let's actually go to timer view to see the logic here. So what we're doing here is if view store timer is running, we are showing the pause button. So the timer is obviously running, and this just returns if the running is set to true, and that happens automatically when we create our. So that's the problem. So if we have our focus timer action, we are setting the timer is running to true by default, which is maybe not the best default. Let's try with false. Now this looks better. Let's start. Nothing changes here and no timer is running. So we have a bug also when we click start. Let's go to the timer reducer. So are we receiving the action actually? We are receiving the start button pressed action. Nice. That works. And now we're setting the running to true and starting the timer. But we're never getting the ticked. So something is wrong with the timer actually. But we didn't change anything on the timer. That's confusing. Why is it not ticking? Let me check the changes we have made so far in this stream. So we have added code to the reducer. There was nothing before. We have a timer state now instead of the current focus timer. We created an if-let store instead of doing this navigation link. Then we have this default set to different values. We have set this to false and added these features here, which is I think all good, looking good. Then we translated some things that were missing here too. The timer reducer, current focus timer running, pause button pressed. Okay, this is the big changes we have made. And for the start button pressed, we did create a timer before, and then we did this here. And each time it had to call into timer ticked, but that's not happening anymore. And timer ticked itself said if it was below 0, it would stop the timer or say it is up, which we have here now if it is completed. But we're ticking before. This is also looking good to me. I don't get why it's not getting called anymore. Timer is running, current focus timer. This is all looking good to me. Okay, so why is the timer no longer ticking? That's interesting. Let's actually switch to our timer feature. Let's try running the tests. So our test will not build now because we have made a lot of changes. So let's go through this test again and see what our logic is now. So custom time left is set to 25 minutes in our tests. And we are setting the state to timer is running false. And this is no longer the right state. So let's see what the new state looks like. So we just pass the focus timer. And let's just create, okay, let's just do focus timer. Okay, can't do that because we need to import mode for that. There we go. Now we have to actually also create a managed object context. Test typical timer lifetime and the managed object context. Core data testing managed object context. Let's just not write the code ourselves. There's some simple defaults that we always do. Test stack, in-memory store type, container, so just the persistent store container, core data stack model name, but these times we don't have them. Okay, let's just set it up ourselves. So we need a managed object context, which we get from I think we had this already, persistence. There was a test persistence store here, so let's actually get back to our old code. The very first initial commit we made here, which had the persistence controller created by Apple automatically. I think it's this one here. And this is the preview one that we can also use for testing, I guess. Oh, we have the in-memory here. Do we have it here? Oh, okay, we can use this. So persistence controller, we just create a new one instead of using the shared one. So test persistence controller, In this case, okay, we need to import model. We already import model, so is it not public? It is public, but the init method is not public. Actually, we don't need it to be public because we just need it for tests. Instead, we just say a testable import, which makes all the internal things available also. And we just go for the in-memory, and this time we say true because in our test we want to have an in-memory core data database. And then we can say managed object context is test persistence controller dot container dot managed object view context. There we go. Now this we can use here. The started date. Actually, the started date is empty. Ah, that's why we made it That's why we made it optional in the first place and not optional. I get that. Started at... Okay, do we have to make it optional again? Because we don't really know when we started. When we open the timer screen, we don't start it right away. We might wait for the user to click play. So that's why we created it when the user clicked the play button, which we could keep to. Should we change it all back to an optional? I'll not do that for now for this test. Categories empty, focus topic test. Timer runout duration, we just set it to 25 minutes. That's like this, custom time left. Running on start false, well, let's just keep them to the defaults. See how far we come here. Focus timer. Timer state, a timer is running. It's no longer timer state. We do have a new timer state now. Timer env is no longer available. Instead, we need an app env, and for that we need to import utility. So our tests are actually depending on utility and things like that. So let's see if that's the case. It's depending on model. It's depending on utility. Oh wait, wrong place. It's actually depending your feature tests, timer feature, like this. Or maybe it will work because it depends on timer feature, and timer feature depends on the utility already. Let's see if it builds. What's happening here? Cannot test target on Gia Pro Max. Yeah, don't test it there. We disconnected actually. Just run it on the Mac. So timer env, yeah, app env, that's what we're working on. And we pass a main queue. We could use a test scheduler here. Managed object context. Actually, we have to erase it to any scheduler. Managed object context is our managed object context. And the nowDate producer is, let's just use date.now. Actually, let's set now explicitly. NowDate is date, time interval since 1970, and then just say days, 365. Do we have years in time interval? No. Days, 365 times 45, so it's like 2015. Doesn't really matter what we set as a nowDate here, but our nowDate here is this now, and our nowDate producer here just returns nowDate. Let's remove the timer env. Let's clean this up. Okay, we need to now, these are no longer settable. So can we actually provide the expected state here? That's kind of hard to do, but basically I think we can set it through the current running timer, the current focus timer, where the running state needs to be now true. And same here, but the other way around. Here true again. Can I do this somehow differently? I could just, yeah, I could just, instead of doing these things, because that's like the current timer state. Let's actually comment this out and just run. I want to know if the current timer state, oh, let's just move this out. We do have the state here, so I expect the state running to be true. Let's comment everything else out. Let's see if this is so far working. Exit assert true. The normal way. I just want to know what all is failing. So yeah, we have an effect that didn't finish yet. That's true. Okay, we might not get through this without all this code. Let's just move this all out. So we have exit assert false. And we don't need to check anything here. Same here. This is exit asserting false, true in this case. Let's try to build again. Expected state timer is running. Yeah, sure. The state, not the expected state. I'm not sure if this will work because this is a struct, and I'm not sure if this is working because it's not a variable even. Yeah, I could create a struct in the test that is local, and that's why it might not work, but we will see. Assert equal time left to, actually the expectation I put always first, so I expect the expectation to be the same as the real value. Instead of advancing the store, yeah, we're not expecting to happen like that. Instead, we expect, oops, each time assert equal state.timeLeft plus seconds 1 state.time. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Time left before tick. And then time left for tick plus 1 to be equal to that. Then we can delete this. Another exit assert false in this case with state. And likewise exit assert equal custom time left is the expected, and state.time left is the real value. So again, I think due to the state being a struct, this could blow up and there's no time up anymore. I think we're just handling it without. And expected state, this should be state of course. See what happens now. So it's continuing a little bit further. It's saying an effect return for this action is still running. Start button press is starting a timer. Let's clean this up. things are not passing. Good, but we don't have the time to figure this out today anymore, so this is incomplete for sure. So I will not commit that. But the app was building, so let's have a look at the app on the iOS app again, just to see what we're at right now and what bugs we need to fix next time. Now let's document and close up the stream. So this is the view, and we can click start, but nothing happens right now because our logic is no longer working as expected. Mainly our timer is not running. And that's basically what we need to fix next time. So let's summarize. Okay, we have done the Timewave review today. So if you have entered the stream after, like not from the start, watched but entered later on, you might not know, but we have actually reviewed an iOS app from an indie developer at the beginning of the stream, the Timewave app. Let me just send the link again in the stream. And also I can then copy the link from there. So it's this app basically that we tested. And I'll go back to it here and say like app review of Timewave app. Next, we work on the open focus timer, and what we did manage to do is to read the data actually from the database. So read running current running timer from database. And then the passing on was a problem here, and we did it in a not step-by-step way, but more like a bigger way, which I like to do most often in my private time. But this can really bring you more into situations where you are stuck like we are right now, and we're still not seeing the app work, but we will figure it out. And we have extracted, we have fixed the, or actual if let store optional navigation implemented for the timer feature. Then that's part of that. We have tried to refactor basically, or we have provided translations. Translate missing start and stop button titles. And then we basically try to rework the logic of the timer reducer. Rework logic of timer reducer with functions or with some logic moved to focus timer. So that's all the steps we've done here, and I haven't committed each of them separately because the app was not building. The problem we have had definitely is did too many changes at once. App didn't build or tests not passing anymore. And the learning, well, we remembered that the method to call into core data is fetch. That was what I was missing. The next step for sure is to get the tests passing, get the timer feature tests passing again, fix specifically start action not starting, not working. Basically it's not working. We don't know yet, and we will basically work there. And then from there we can continue with the to-dos from last time, which is connect the timer UI to the database and store data. That's basically what we're doing today. Continued here. Add a reflection screen with a summary of the session and connect the reflection screen to the database. That's the two steps that we can do also next time. Let's just move them here. And that's about it. That's basically our stream for today. Let me also add the link to the focus timer. So if you want to check out the open focus timer, you can find it on GitHub here. And let me just add it here to the link. And this is the summary of the stream. And I'm ending the stream here now. So thank you everyone who came in, who said hi. Thank you also for the developer. Oh, thank you for following Nick Kehe. Thank you for the following. And everybody who's here who has not followed yet, please make sure that you leave a follow. And for your information, I also have a YouTube. So you might also want to check that out. It's linked in my about page. And I wish everybody a nice evening, a nice whatever time it is in your time zone. I definitely wish you a nice weekend, and I'll be back next week on Wednesday with my Wednesday evening stream at 7 p.m. Central European Time. And then next Friday, I'm streaming Wednesdays and Fridays, and I will continue on the open focus timer now on every stream until we have it basically in a version 1 state. And so I'm looking forward to that. And again, each time I'm going to try to get some indie developers who basically want their app tested so I can give them some feedback. And I'm basically going to try to get them here so we can basically review their app and they can learn from us, and we can also learn something from their app maybe. And I hope that's going to be useful. I hope that the stream is useful or was useful. So I wish you a nice time and see you next time. Bye.